So I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar regarding the product journey from ERP to through the PIM, e-commerce, and to the POS. Please, if somebody could raise their hand if you both see my screen and you do hear me. Thanks, Guy. I see that we have attendees coming from all around the globe. So some of you have night right now, or evening at least, and some of you have very, very early morning. I will try to keep this webinar within 30 minutes, and through that webinar, you will meet me as the presenter. My name is Breda. Actually originally Norwegian, been at Dynamicweb since 2012, but I've been working with digital solutions for almost 15 years, where I was on the other side of the table. A lot of disclaimers that I would like to give you before we enter into to the actual presentation is that I do not code anything. As a sales guy, I'm heavily afraid of doing demos, but probably you will help me and laugh a little bit at me if I tend to be a little bit clumsy. Nevertheless, I look forward to give you this introduction, and the agenda is quite simple. I have 3 points. First of all, why is it that it is important to make a solution where we can follow the product from the ERP, whatever ERP system it is, until it's actually cashed out in a POS terminal in a physical brick and mortar store. So this webinar will also will therefore be very directed towards the retail business, but the actual principles are the same also in B2B stories as of today. The next point that I'm going to talk to you about is the what. What are we what have we made? How can we help you? And then finally, I will tell you how we do it, and I'll also show it to you. Please, if you feel so, then feel free to raise your hands and post questions. Maybe I will not be able to answer them right away, but I can guarantee you one thing, that I will reach out to you afterwards with answers on your questions if I do not get to answer them right now. So let's get started. So the product journey, the why. So a bunch of you have probably heard about a unified commerce, and unified commerce is actually a concept where you put customers in the middle and understand the way they behave with their relations today. So all systems are connected with the customer instead of having multiple systems working together or working in strict lines. Another thing that I also think is very important to understand is that this customer, as of today, they actually use 208% more of their wallet towards customers only doing business in the physical store. That is, of course, something that is very important to understand, because it's all about the business, and it's all about making as much profit as possible. Another thing is that also, if we look at the story, how it was when I was a child, I should maybe mention to all of you that I'm 46 years old, and at the time when I was a child, it was only possible to go into a physical brick and mortar store if I wanted a shoe. That developed quite rapidly into a multi-channel, where we saw the first emerging of the web stores 25 years ago, maybe even a little bit before, where we could then both do business in the physical store and online. Also, catalogs, especially Germany, have got some quite big catalog houses. Otto Versand, maybe some of you know, where it was also possible to actually get a catalog at home, and then you made an order and you sent that order back by a physical post to the vendor, and they sent the goods to you. In the latter years, we have seen the omni-channel, where it's more about having multiple systems, having multiple touch points with the customers, but not necessarily working together. And finally, now we are in the age of the unified commerce, where we put the customer in the center and we deliver that experience that he wants to have or he expects as of for today. So I have one question. No, I don't have a question, but nevertheless, let me just see. So if we go to the next slide, this is actually a photo of my daughter. It's quite some years old right now, but what I have seen during the last 18 years when she has grown up is how that she interact with her surroundings. Her surroundings is not only being playing football or playing badminton in the garden anymore, it's also interacting on social medias. So I asked my daughter the other day, or actually a couple of weeks ago, I asked my daughter, what is your most important social media? And Facebook came on top of that. And I asked her, what do you actually use Facebook for? And she said, one of the things that I use is to follow my friends, what they're doing in their daily life. But actually, Dad, I'm also using it for a lot of other stuff. One of those things are to get recommendations, also to give my friends recommendations, also look at what my friends' recommend, both of experiences, adventures, but also coming to products. Another two channels that she's using a lot, or at least she uses YouTube. She's following a lot of the YouTubers out there that both give some social content, they give some advice, but they also place a lot of the products out in the market space today. If you look at the big bloggers around or the big YouTubers, they're also often paid by vendors who actually promote or place their product in the bloggers' social network. Snapchat is also coming up. I saw a snap from my daughter the other day, and what she was actually snapping was a new pair of shoes that she bought recently, and she snapped it to a friend. The story repeats, also coming to Instagram. You know more or less all of them, all of the social medias. But what I'm trying to say here is that we have to realize that this generation is behaving so much more differently than what I did when I was a young boy. I'm also a quite old guy, but being younger, I was playing football and I went into physical brick and mortar stores if I needed a pair of new shoes. So today they more or less do everything on the social medias, also buy products. When it comes to this generation, actually we also use social medias. So this photo of me surrounded by two beautiful women actually could also have been posted on Tinder. And on Tinder today they crunch data to actually find out where are there people, can they sell promotions, things like that for restaurants or more in the experience-based industry. I asked my daughter the other day if it was okay that I went into her Facebook profile, and I said I just wanted to look at the photos, and she laughed at me because one of the things that she said, Dad, you are a friend of me on Facebook, so you can look at all my photos, so that's not a problem. You don't have to ask me about that. And one of the things that I was sure to find was actually finding photos giving an evidence of her way of doing business or trading goods with her friends, also buying stuff online. And I wanted to see if those photos were significant on her Facebook profile. And actually, the first picture I found was of our cat, so that didn't work out. But the next photo that I found was actually this pair of shoes, and she was selling that to a friend of her. So she's using Facebook for social selling. The next photo that I found was this watch, and that is a watch that she posted to her friends with an online purchase. She had purchased it on a web shop in Denmark and actually posted it to her friends. Look at my new watch, doesn't it look fine? The last thing that last photo that I found was this photo of Abercrombie and Fitch when we were in London a couple of years ago. We went into this store, and what my conclusion is that she was sharing experience and branding together with her friends. So she was actually not only using the social channels but also the online channels, but also the experience of going into a physical brick and mortar store. So having this in mind, and if we believe in the hypothesis that I have, is that we need to understand that this generation will be the generation that defines how we should deliver our products to be able to make a good profit to our employees, then we need to understand how we can leverage the gap between the social selling universe, the online universe, and the actual physical brick and mortar store. So that is the why we have looked into it, and then the what. So one of the things that I'm going to, or the thing that I'm going to use most of my time on in this webinar and later in the demo, is the switch between the online and the offline world. Online, of course, is a web shop, or it's the social media, and it's the offline, which is more the physical brick and mortar store. But one thing that is also important to understand is that the marketplaces will also play a significant role. Actually, 98% of all people, 90% of all people going into a physical brick and mortar store, they already know what they want before they enter the store. But another fact is also that if you use them, if you actually understand their business behavior in the web shop or on your website, and you track that data, and you deliver that data to the physical brick and mortar store. For example, if we send an email from the digital platform to a customer with a nice offer, and we can deliver that information to the physical brick and mortar store or the POS in the store, we are actually able to upsell with more than 13 to 15%. That study was made by McKinsey just a couple of years ago, and I believe that that information is important to understand. Also, using the information that we actually collect in the physical brick and mortar store. For example, a customer or a member going into a store, buying a pair of white shirts or a white shirt. How can we use that information, delivering it back to the online presence to send out relevant and targeted email campaigns? So when we think about this, this is actually where we start to unify the customer experience using both the data delivered in the web store as well delivered in the physical brick and mortar store. Marketplaces is also one of the big players, and you will probably see an increasing awareness of marketplaces. One of the big players that we have in there right now is actually Amazon. Amazon is, as I've written here, reigns supreme because Amazon, if we look at the total retail sales in the US, then it covers more than 26% of the online retail sales. And that's quite a lot. And they haven't come into most European countries yet, but they are on their way. It also covers more than 22% of all of the retailers in the US. They actually sell via Amazon. And the funny part here is that they actually also have physical brick and mortar stores. So they are trying to leverage and utilize the actual presence they have online to draw people into the physical brick and mortar store to actually get them to buy more and use some of those 13 to 15%, which I mentioned for you before. So Amazon is absolutely one of the marketplaces that we have to look at and also understand how are they trying to combine the online as well as the offline world. So the how. So what is it that we are trying as a software vendor to leverage, and what is it that we try to build to actually meet these demands in the market right now. So Target Marketing made this study a year ago, and it actually tells something about what is the biggest challenges for a retailer to actually meet the demands of the end users right now. How is it possible for them to deliver a consistent message to all the channels, having in mind that people, they look on the web store and they want to see in which physical store can I get that actual product, and so on and so forth. And what actually surprised me in this study was that the biggest problem that the customers have right now, and the customers that you will also meet in the market space, is the lack of budget. So what our goal is to do as a software vendor is try to combine products where we can actually deliver a consistent message and lowering the costs to meet this biggest challenge in the market. So if we look at Dynamicweb in short, and I will also show you the actual application in just a few seconds, then what we are doing here is that we are combining content management, the place where you build your websites, e-commerce, with marketing tools and product information management in one platform. So what I'm going to try and show you is that what we are going to make a product, a basic product in the ERP system. We are going to transfer that to the PIM. The PIM, he can then deliver it either to different social medias, marketplaces, to an online store, to the website, and so on and so forth. And from that, we are going to then deliver the product information to the e-commerce channel, and then trying to make an order. So using Dynamicweb and utilizing the functionalities in Dynamicweb will at least have you one place and one system where you only work with your digital area, except of course from the market channels, which you feed with data from the product information management. Right now we are building the solution, and that is the solution that I'm going to show you. And what we would like to achieve with this, I think that the quote over here actually says it quite clearly. But one of the things that we would like to deliver to you is a turnkey solution, where it will be not a boxed solution, but a solution that you can scale, but you have a very, very high starting point. We would like to also give you a solution where you have total control of your communication in all channels. That means that if you need to send a set of product information to your e-commerce solution, that can be defined from Dynamicweb, and another set of information to, for example, Amazon, US, they need some other information than they, for example, do in Europe. So that consistent message to handle that in Dynamicweb, we would like to deliver to you. Now I'm going into the more extreme part of this. I'm going into the actual demo. So what I would like to show you now is reach your audience through the right chosen channels. Ensure that we can communicate our product information consistent, or our message to the market consistent, and do it with a very, very slim architecture. We could call it the model, keep it simple and stupid. In this demo, I will use an environment from LS Retail, just for the sake of that, sake of the demo. Also because that LS Retail has already the POS system, so I can actually show you the full product journey from the ERP into the e-commerce, to the channels, and back to the order and back to the POS. So you can follow the product from it's actually bought in the ERP system until it is delivered to the final or the end user. So before I go into the actual demo, I'm going to show you Dynamicweb as a product, give you a ultra short introduction to Dynamicweb. Most of you who's joining our webinar today don't know Dynamicweb as an application, so I will give you just 3 minutes of run through of Dynamicweb. So Dynamicweb is a web application. That means that the front page or the actual application can be reached by just punching an URL and then go into a login where you then log into the actual backend of the solution. When you enter into the solution, the first thing that will meet you is a desktop where you can make your own dashboards depending on your role in the company. Are you a content editor? Are you an e-commerce manager? Are you a product manager? Or are you a marketing employee that needs to translate texts and so on and so forth? In the left side, you see the accordion where we have the different areas of Dynamicweb. So for example, the content area, this is where you build your websites. So for example, in this solution, I have an English as my master, and beneath my master, I have a Danish version of it, but I could also have other brands. So if we were to build for a couple of Coca-Cola brands, we could both, or cola brands, we could both have Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola in the one and the same solution. For you as a customer, that also means that a retailer could often have an outlet brand, or they could have a high-end brand, and that can also be covered in the same solution, and you can use the same integration to the backend system, not building two silos, coming back to where we wanted to be, only having a very, very slim architecture and few integration points that are expensive to maintain. So going into the actual CMS, CMS is just built on paragraphs, and if we wanted to show the page how it looks in the front end, it looks like this, and then we can roll into the products with filtering and facets and things like that, but I will not use more time on the front end. Also in Dynamicweb, we have a file structure, which you would probably know from Microsoft. We have a user database, and in that user database, that could be synchronized and have a live call to your either CRM system or your ERP system, where we then get your information about the users. For example, in my case, Nils Nielsen, and that information is then captured from my CRM system, because that is where we in sales work. And in Nils Nielsen case, we track whatever he does on our website, which orders he has placed both online as well as offline, what he has done in the email marketing campaigns, what kind of loyalty points, and so on and so forth. The whole e-commerce part, where you have the orders, where you collect the orders, where you have the product catalog, which should be mainly seen as just a channel going out from the PIM. The product information management system, this is something that we see very often in smaller ERP system or Navision it could be. Then it's often very difficult to work with products. So enriching to multiple languages, making different fields for different categories, and so on and so forth. In this case, when I go into the PIM, you will see here that how many products I have in the e-commerce, how many newly arrived products, how many of my products still needs translation, and if I go into one of those products, I can see I have it in English and Danish. If I wanted it in German as well, I could also then start to translate it. So that is just to give you a short look at the product information management system in Dynamicweb. The marketing tool, where you would mainly do the campaigning, abandoned shopping carts. You can build campaigns dependent on customers' behavior on your website or the behavior in the physical brick and mortar store. So actually making some smart searches or a query down to the user database saying, I want to send out a campaign to all customers who has bought this specific product in this specific region within the last 3 months. Then you can build a email for that, and then send that email out to the users. And when they start to click or they start to buy, you will then track that on the users again. Again, the whole time building the knowledge that you have of all the customers in the actual solution. So that was just to give you a very extreme and short run through of Dynamicweb, and I will not use more time on that, but I will go back to the presentation mode. So the actual product journey, what I would like to show you now is I will make a product, the basic product information in the ERP. I will then transfer that to Dynamicweb PIM. I will make a very simple enrichment in Dynamicweb PIM. Then what I will do is I will distribute it to channels. It could be either Amazon or to the e-commerce. For the sake of the purpose of the demo here, I will publish it to e-commerce. In e-commerce front end, I will make an order. I will deliver the order back to the ERP system. When I have it in the ERP system, I will then open up the POS. So imagine that you are a person being in the physical brick and mortar store where they pick up the order, they pack the order, and then I will make a receipt for the customer when he comes and pays it. So let's see if we can do this quite simple. So I've switched to my remote desktop. My remote desktop right now is then LS Retail, and in LS Retail we have different parts. But I will go into the actual LS Retail, and I'll go into product design. In product design, I will open the retail items, and I will try to make a new product. And I will call it awful product. I will put it into a category. I will say it is clothing. I'll put it into a product group, and I will say that it's men's clothing, and then I will put a price on the product. And I'll just take 10. And when I've done that, I will distribute it. So I will go to the store. And I will put it to the e-commerce. When I've done this, I'll push OK. And now I've made a new product in the ERP. Going back to the solution is then this store. This is the store where I want to sell my awful product. Just to give you an idea of how it looks, then I will go to men. I'll go to shoes, and hopefully I will make it alive here. And just to give you an example, again, in other men items, I now have 2 items. Instead of going through this, it's just a pure standard web shop. I will now log into the actual solution, and I will go to the back end of the solution. So in the back end of the solution, I down here have a settings, because what I would like to do right now is that I would like to actually import new products. So I have an integration, and I've set up an integration where I would like to import products to the e-commerce catalog or to the PIM, and I will now run that. It takes just a short while, so I will go back to my presentation. So what you have to imagine right now is that we started here making a product in the LSNAV. We communicate with the front-end Dynamicweb via a communication layer. This is because this communication layer both communicates with the physical brick and mortar stores, but also with an e-commerce solution. So right now I'm importing the product into Dynamicweb. When I've imported into the Dynamicweb, I can then show it on your design. So whether you have a wish for having yellow submarines or whatever you would like to have on your front end, this is the actual design. So what we are batching right now is information about stores, about users, and in this case products and discounts. But we could also communicate live, where we will then see that we have a card, we have some loyalty info. For example, if it's a customer that is a part of the member group, then we will also ask about that on a live basis. So I will try and go back to this one. So I will see here. I will now go to the PIM. I will see warehouses and I'll look at all products. So as you can see here, I now have a awful product. Sorry, I had one from before, so you can see I made a test on this. But this awful product is now imported from before, and it has a SKU number 100 and 180. And this SKU number is something that was defined by the ERP system. So right now I'm actually working in the PIM. I could now set up what kind of fields that I would like to have extra on that product. You could imagine that you do not have all the fields, or you have to customize all those fields in the ERP system, but actually enriching the products in the PIM is a possibility to do for you before you actually deliver it to the different channels. For your information, most marketplaces have their own definitions of which fields they want to have when you actually publish data to them. So you could do that. But for the sake of the demo, I will not do that. So I will right now only enrich it with a product where I need to find where I need to find a product, and I will see if I can find a picture, and I have a picture here. So as you can see, this is an awful product, and right now I have then now put a picture on the product. What I will then do is that I will now build a index. Sorry, so I'll go to the settings again. And I will build the index. And what I do here is actually I build an index so it's possible to actually filter and facet and have a fast performance on the front end. So what I will do now is I will build the products. And I will also build the secondary products. I will go back to PIM, and PIM, you can then say I would like to publish it to channels. And to publish it to channels, I can then choose to publish it to my e-commerce solution, which I in this case have called LS Retail, which I will do, and I will find the men's. I'll find the other men items. You remember maybe the one I showed you, and then I will publish it to that. I could also publish it to Amazon, but I will not go into that in this webinar. So right now, I have now published it to the front end. So hopefully, when I now enter into the front end, it will be possible for me to show you the actual products in the front end. And I will show page. So going back to the men's and looking at the other main items, and hopefully I will have it here. I did not, and then maybe I need to build the index again. What we do here is I'll close that down, I'll close that down, and I'll close that down, and I will take a new one. So now you see I have an awful product. I enriched it with a photo that didn't return here, but doesn't matter for the sake of the demo right now. But we should have that awful product, which was a man in a full body suit. But what I would like to do now is I would like to add one to the cart of this. As you can see here, the price is coming from the ERP system. So I've added now one product to the cart. So I will then proceed to the checkout, and I will then accept the terms and go to the checkout. I can also choose which store I would like to have it delivered in. Right now, this information is something that is floating from the ERP system. Which physical stores do we have? But I would like to just have it in the source south, which is in Brighton. I will go to checkout. And hopefully I get a confirmation that I have now placed an order. So right now you see I have an order number here, and if I go back to LS Retail, I can now go back to the web integration, looking at the orders, and down here you will see that you have the order which is now ready for pick. We can just open it just to see what kind of order it is and which product it is, and so on and so forth. So right now I've made a product in the ERP system. I've transferred it to the PIM. I could have published it to Amazon. I did publish it to the e-commerce. I've made an order in the e-commerce, put it back to the ERP system. So right now the product is ready for picking up in the physical store. So what I will do now is I will play that I'm in the physical store, where I will be behind the cash register, actually looking for the products, and they see that they have information about an order that has come in for a click and collect. So what I will do, I will log on, and I have code number 701. So what I will do now is that I will see that I have a message here, and that message is then that I have a new order which is ready for picking. And hopefully I will see is a read message. Not that one. See if I can find it here. I will find it. Here you see the order number is C00103, and I'll process the message. So this is the awful product. So what I need to do now is mark it, and I'll confirm. And where is it then to be collected? I will say it's in the back desk. Enter, and I will allow this for this session. So if I'm lucky, I should now have an actual receipt that this product is now packed and ready for being picked up. So what I will do now is that I imagine that now the customer is coming in to actually pick that order up, and I will find the order again, and I'll find the order number. So the order number here is C00103, and I'll say collect. So this is Jane Johnson. She wants to collect her product. So I collect it, and I collect it again. And I will say she has to pay for it. So I will say that she pays cash. She pays the cash. Jane has now picked up her order, and what she gets now from the POS is an actual receipt of the product has now been paid, and she can now go out of the store. I know that I've taken 10 minutes more of your time than was actually planned, but I hope it gives you some kind of idea of the actual process where we build up a product in the ERP, or we just add a basic information, put it into the PIM channels, and so on and so forth, ending up with a receipt for the customers to go out of the store. In this way, we actually combine the online world and the offline world with a very, very slim architecture. So to sum up what I've been talking about, the business potential in doing this is enormous. So considering that 9 out of 10 persons, they know already what they need when they go into a physical brick and mortar store, just by using social medias, using the web presence to actually search for products, but also remembering that 13 to 14% upsells potential, getting the people into the store is a lot of money. Understand where your target groups they are, making sure that you use an architecture where you can deliver a consistent message. In terms of technology, I should not decide which strategy you have, but it is possible today to find products in the market that has built a very, very simple architecture with a turnkey solution on top. Dynamicweb is one of them. So be pragmatic, don't be too ambitious. Use standardized technology already available, and make sure that you make your architecture as slim as possible with as few systems or as few silos as possible. So this concludes my presentation. I'm not sure if there are any questions here. If you have any questions or you need any further information, you are more than welcome to contact me. My information is on the slide deck here. We will distribute this one to you, and then I will just wait if anyone has questions. I must have been very clear. Then I would like to thank you very much all for your time. I wish you a lovely day all around the globe, and lots of success in the future. Thank you.